Hey everyone, today we are doing a Wilwood disc brake upgrade on this 2011 LS570. Is that what this thing is? This is my friend Michelle. She'll be watching and maybe being a camera person. Let's dig in. So in this video we are doing the front brakes. We also have a set of rear brakes as well, but this video is just going to focus on the fronts. These are all the components that came with the kit, including some stainless steel braided brake lines, which you are going to need. We've got rotors, we've got some mounting plates, we've got our disc brake pads, we have our brackets here, and look at those. Look at the monster caliper. Beautiful. Some other hardware, and of course, our instructions. I'm going to get this thing up on jack stands, get these wheels off. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to start on the passenger side. We need to get the caliper off of here and then get the rotor off. And that's pretty much all we need to remove. We've got a metric 17 over here, and back down below it, we need to take those off. We can pull this whole assembly off. The main reason we're doing the upgrade on this vehicle is because the caliper on the driver's side is bad. This side's fine, but the other side was pretty roached. Now the kit does come with new bolts, so you can just set these to the side. Second bolt's out. I'm just going to pull this off. Obviously we're replacing this caliper. We're also replacing the brake line. But I'm just going to set the old caliper back here and leave it connected until we're almost done. That way we don't have brake fluid leaking all over the place. Now technically this should just pull off, but it's stuck. You can tap it with a hammer. Maybe it'll pop off, maybe it won't. In this case it doesn't. We take a little bit of WD-40, and there's a hole here, another hole over here. Just gonna put that in there. And then I've got two fine thread metric bolts. We'll actually thread into these. Now these are already aftermarket rotors that are on here, so yours may or may not have those slots, but these have them, so I'm going to use them. We're just going to tighten these. Yeah, there we go. Off she comes. This is a good time to hit all this with some brake cleaner. Be right back. While our freshly cleaned hub assembly is drying, we're going to go ahead and assemble one of our rotors. I'm going to take out the hat. Flip this upside down like this. And we're going to take our rotor out. Alright, taking a look at this rotor, you see there is an arrow here. That lets you know which direction it spins. So this is the passenger side. What we're going to do is turn this upside down just like that. And when you look at the directions on these, there's a very nice exploded diagram that shows you how all these parts go. So you'll... That diagram is your friend, so don't lose those directions. Now here are the brand new bolts to come with this. This is the diagram I'm talking about, so make sure you've got your directions. Now these you're going to want to use some Loctite on them. They recommend you use the red Loctite. I'm using blue because that's what I have. And we're just going to put a little bit on here. Alright. And you're just going to work your way around. Loctite, bolt, Loctite, bolt. And when you tighten these down, you're going to tighten them down to 155 inch-pounds of torque. Not foot-pounds, but inch-pounds. You're also going to tighten them in a star pattern, kind of like putting lug nuts on your car. Now this is a foot-pound torque wrench, but I've done the math and converted. Alright, with that done, we can move on to the caliper bracket. So here's our caliper bracket. Now it did come with this bag of shims, washers, and these 12-point nuts. These are for the actual caliper. They are not for the bracket. These two bolts here and these shims and washers are for this bracket. All right, so our caliper bracket is going to go just like this, but we need to use some shims. So on our bolt, we're going to put a washer. The washers are kind of obvious, they're actually smaller. And we're just going to start that through like that. And put our shim on there. And like this. Now this does require a thread locker as well, but we are not putting the thread locker on here quite yet. So we're just going to tighten this down, measure it, and then we'll take those bolts off, put the thread locker on them, and redo it. And these bolts went from being a 17 to a 19. Now we're going to take our rotor, slip it on. And we're just going to slip a couple lug nuts on here. Alright, with our rotor on, make sure it spins freely, which it does. Okay, we've got our caliper, and we want to grab two of the shims out of here. Now, there are two washers in here that are silver in color. Those are obviously washers. We just want two of these shims. Pop those on. And then we're going to put our caliper on like this. Now you can either put nuts on here to make sure this is flat or just hold it flat. But what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance from the rotor to the caliper, and then over here, caliper to the rotor, and make sure that it's the same on both sides. Doesn't matter what the measurement is as long as it's the same. We're looking at this. Yeah, perfect. All right, measurements were good. We're going to take this back off. Set this to the side. We're going to take our bolts back out, put some Loctite on them, put them back in. Let me get that done. Don't worry, we'll be dealing with this old caliper here shortly. All right, we're going to get the caliper ready. First, we want to take out these two clips that are in here. Well, let me see. You can see them. There's a clip here and a clip here. We just want to pull those out so we can get these pins out. It did come with extra clips, so if you lose them, you should have some more. Once these are out, you can just pop these pins out. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. We have a bag of fittings that's specifically for this vehicle. And this fitting goes on the back of the caliper, and you're going to spin it into place. But first you need to put some tape on it. Make sure the tape's not covering the end of that. We're just going to spin this home. And you're going to want it somewhere here-ish. About like that. So our brake line's going to go kind of off the back. Here's our brake line. It is just going to go on here. Now this is just hand tight. We'll snug it down later. Now I'll show you now. This is what's going to go up top and going to go into the hard line coming from the vehicle. So we're going to remove the old brake line and insert this, and then use this clip to hold it in place. Then our new brake line is just going to get spun right into it. Now the old brake line is being held down by a bracket, and this bracket will replace the bracket that's on the old brake line. While we're here, we'll go ahead and put our brake pads in. They just go down like this. And then these pins we took out, they just go right back in. We're going to take our clip. That one went flying. Good thing we've got extra. That one's in. And this one is in. I like to check them with a screwdriver. Just take a flat blade, press it down, make sure the clip's in all the way around. Alright, time to take this old caliper off. We've got a 12 millimeter right here, which is really tight on this vehicle for some reason. Let's try a little more leverage. There it goes. Save this bolt, you're going to need it. I'm going to use a 10 flare nut wrench. this is going to leak brake fluid all over the place now. And one last thing to do. Get this old clip out of here. Alright. With that out, now we can pull this down. And our old caliper is gone. I'm going to take this up into here. Thread that in. Now we're going to bring in our new caliper. You remember to put the shims on here, right? We're going to put this in place. And we're just going to plug that in there, screw that up. Again, we're leaving it loose, but that'll keep it from leaking all that brake fluid out. Let's get our new clip into place. You can use pretty much anything to bang this into place. I'm going to use an 18 to hold the fitting in place while I tighten it with our 10mm flare nut wrench. Alright, that should do it. Alright, the important thing about this brake line here is to make sure it doesn't interfere with any of the parts that spin. That includes the rotor itself. And then you've also got your CV joint here on the back side. So you want to make sure that you're not going to wear through this brake line right down in here. So you're also going to want to check when you're doing this. Like this is kind of pulling it the wrong way. So I'm going to flip this the other way. So this will be more like this. And this is going to make sure that you're not pulling the brake line into the back of the wheel. So all these clearances are things you're going to want to check after you've got the wheel back on and you're about ready to drive down the road. All right, let me put the bolt in here. All right, so we're going to put our 18 here. Put our 18 here, and then tighten up this 12 using a flare nut wrench. And on the caliper, we need to tighten that 12 as well. I'm pretty sure you know where that's at by now. And don't forget when you get everything back together to turn the wheels all the way to the right and the left and make sure that your brake lines aren't being pulled tight. If they are, you'll just need to adjust it a little. Next up, we got 2 nuts we need to put on the brakes, and then it's time to bleed them. All right, we got a washer and another washer. One there, one down here. And then we have these 12-point nuts. These are 13mm, and you're going to need a 12-point 13mm. All right, time to bleed the brakes. We're just going to top it off with some Wilwood high temp 570 racing brake fluid. This is what they recommend you use, so this is what we're going to use. All right, so go ahead and jump up in there and pump the brakes slowly 3 times. It's probably going to go right to the floor. All right, then take your foot off the brake. Now put it all the way to the floor and hold it there. Let me know when you got it there.
There.
All right, 3 times. Pump it 3 times.
Slowly.
You don't have to go slow now. All right, all the way to the floor and hold it. Just go ahead and put it all the way to the floor and hold it.
Okay.
Pump it.
Slowly.
All the way to the floor.
Yep.
Pump it.
I can't get it all the way to the floor now.
Good. All right, here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and fire it up. Don't put it in gear or anything like that. Just press the brakes a couple times. All right, we're test driving the Wilwood brakes. Now they recommend when you drive it, drive 2 to 4 miles an hour and hit the brakes a lot, which we're doing. And then you're going to get it up to speed and still continue to hit the brakes a lot. and then get it up, to highway speeds and still hit the brakes a lot. So we're going to be doing that. But for now, we're just going down my old country road, going nice and slow, hitting the brakes, wearing them in. Read the directions, they are there for a reason. It tells you exactly how to brake in your new pads. All right, we just came back from our test drive and it is working great. What do you think, Michelle?
Fantastic. Can't wait to drive it home.
All right, we got the front brakes done today. We still need to do the back brakes, but we'll do those at another time in another video. So for now, like, subscribe, comment. We'll see y'all down the road.